اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا وطبيب نفوسنا وحبيب قلوبنا أبي القاسم محمد. صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم. لا سيما بقية الله روحي وأرواح العالمين لمقدمه الفداء. السلام عليك يا أمين الله في أرضه وحجته على عباده. السلام عليك يا أمير المؤمنين ورحمة الله وبركاته، وأعظم الله أجورك يا مولاي يا صاحب الزمان. صلوات. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وآل محمد. Respected brothers and sisters in Islam, روزه‌داران، عزاداران، سلام علیکم جمیعا و رحمت الله. Although this majlis just before the sunset of the 21st of the holy month of Ramadan normally concludes the majalis of Aza for Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam, but let us remember that the matam of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, the morning of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam has just begun. In a day like a night like last night before the holy departure of Amir al-Mu'minin salamullah alayhi, as I maybe touched on it in the last couple of nights, Imam Ali alayhi salam mentions his final will, his wasiyah, after the doctor said that there is no cure to this wound, and Imam Ali alayhi salam announced his will. There were witnesses around as Imam Hassan Mujtaba alayhi salam was writing this down. I decided, because this is the last majlis, imagine that we have finished with the funeral, the lonely funeral Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam, and we are back to the masjid, and now we want to open the wasiyat of our dear Imam as our leader, read the wasiyah and inshallah put it into practice. So I thought I keep the last talk just going through the final will and the wasiyah of Amir al-Mu'minin salamullah alayhi as the instruction for the speaker and you present, respected brothers and sisters. But as an introduction, very briefly, it is an obligation to write your wasiyah, especially if there are issues of concern. Like if you have wealth that needs to be decided, if you own anyone that needs to be decided and mentioned, if you like someone owns you, and if there is anything owing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in terms of fasting, praying and things like that. At least writing wasiyah is very important because of haqqun nas. Who can say there is no haqqun nas? Haqqun nas, it means you've been living in this world and running your business and everything. It is possible, even unintentional, it is possible in any transaction, mistakenly something has come to your wealth or something has happened. To write part of your wealth to be given as haqqun nas, charity on behalf of the unknown owner, is very wise always to do that. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Al-Baqarah, before telling us about the obligation of fasting, tells us about the obligation of writing the will. There is a mistake or myth that some people, they think that I'm not ready to die now, I don't want to write my will. Or if I tell my father that, Dad, have you written, or Mom, have you written their will? Sometimes they take offense to it. My children want me to die too. Like, there is no such things. It's an Islamic duty that we need to have our wasiyah. And inshallah, in fact, the Rawat says that when you write your wasiyah, your life will be prolonged as well. One important thing about wasiyah, according to the words of Imam Ja'far Sadiq alayhi salam, and then I will read the wasiyat of Amirul Mu'minin. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam says, write your wasiyah. And wasiyah doesn't just mean financial wasiyah. Some ladies, they say that I never had a business or anything. Sheikh, do I still need to write wasiyah? I said, yes, sister. God has given you that many years of living in dunya. I'm sure you've come up with so much experience. Share your experience with your children. This is your wasiyah. Or recommendation. That wasiyah, basically it means my admonition, my recommendation to my heirs and to my children. Yes, do this, Baba, do this, Mom, and whatever. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam says it is recommended when you write a wasiyah to appoint someone as the executor of your wasiyah, to fulfill, to execute your wasiyah. Yes, Imam says that kon wasiyya nafsek, write your will and appoint yourself to execute your will. I'm not alive anymore to execute my will. No, Imam is not talking about that type of wasiyah. Imam says that in your wasiyah, and I have done this, inshallah, I regularly do this. First of all, my wasiyah is on the desktop of my laptop. Very easy to see it, and I've mentioned always to my family members, anything happens to me, with a click on a button, you see my wasiyah. Read it before you do anything. But before I come here, I just try to be very informal and practical with you. Before this trip, I have updated my wasiyah and written that this is the final wasiyah of Fulan ibn Fulan and dated it. Now, when I go back home, and things that I've written, certain things to be given for charity, any namaz, roozeh, or whatever like that, when I go back home, the first thing that I'm going to do, I don't know why I'm mentioning this, but I mention it. I have one qaza or ihtiyatan for precaution that I want to repeat it, and you hear me also, as in case something happens to me. I couldn't do that because it's the month of Ramadan. I said after the month of Ramadan, there is 1 day of qada, of fasting. Inshallah, if I'm alive and around, as soon as after Eid al-Fitr, inshallah, I'm going to make it up. What Imam Sadiq alayhi salam means that whatever you've written in your wasiyah for others to do, give that much for charity, that many days of praying, fasting, do it yourself. Imam says, don't expect your children to do what you didn't do for yourself. How are you expecting your children to be charitable for that if dad himself was not charitable for himself? How are you expecting your children to pay your homes if you didn't pay your own homes? People usually care about themselves more than others caring about us. As I'm talking to you, I won't mention which country. It's been almost a year that I'm dealing with the homes issue of a deceased person, that there is a legal case about it and dispute among the heirs because of the father, the deceased, had some homes due, and unfortunately he had not written it, but some children, they claim that dad had homes. And others, they say that, well, because he did not mention it, there was no such thing mentioned in the wasiyah, we have no obligation. And jurisprudentially, they are right. There is no obligation. Although recommendation is there, but there is no obligation. And kids, they say that that's my money now. If he really wished to pay his homes, he should have paid it himself. So don't wait for your heirs to be charitable on your behalf. Imam Ja'far Sadiq alayhi salam says that while you are alive, do whatever is necessary yourself. Don't wait for others to do it. Coming to the wasiyat of Amirul Mu'minin with salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. The narrator is Sulaym ibn Qais, that he says, I was there in the house of Amirul Mu'minin when Imam Ali awsa ila ibnihi al-Hasan, mentioned the wasiyah to Imam Hassan, and Imam Hassan alayhi salam is writing it down. And we were all witnesses. Imam Hussein was witness, I was witness, Muhammad Hanafiyyah, and the rest were witness. Long story short, Imam says that books that I have and my weapon, yani my sword, I give it to the next Imam, that is Imam Hassan Mujtaba alayhi salam, and says that's how your grandfather had told me to do, that upon my death I should hand it over to the next Imam, that is you, Hassan. And Hassan, upon your death, you give your weapon and everything to your to the next Imam, that is you, Hussein. And then Imam Ali alayhi salam mentions, because at that time Imam Zainul Abidin was couple of years only. Imam says to Imam Hussein alayhi salam also, upon your death, your weapon and the things that you have, you will pass it to the next Imam, that is Ali ibn al-Hussein, yani Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam. It continues like this. I'm just trying to save time so that I don't need to read the Arabic word. And then the Imam says, Uktub, Hassan, now write what I'm telling you. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. It's good actually for those who want to have a template for their wasiyah. If you want, I can send it to you later on. Some of the general wording, you can use it as a template for your final will, as I have done it. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Hadha ma awsa bihi Ali ibn Abi Talib. This is the final will of Ali ibn Abi Talib. And then first, Allah Akbar. Even Imam alayhi salam says, I bear witness there is no God but Allah. Muhammad is the last messenger of God. All these things the Imam will finish. وَأَنَا مِنَ الْمُسْلِمِينَ, and I'm one of the Muslims. And then the Imam comes with his wasiyah. The first thing that Amirul Mu'mineen, the admonition, the first admonition of Amirul Mu'mineen is Salahu Dhat al-Bain afdal min ammat salat wa som. My sons, my followers, whoever, because later on Imam says that this is for anyone who is going to hear my final will. Remember that you make reconciliation between a couple, between two brothers, between two partners, business partners, between two friends. It's worth more than 1 year of praying and fasting. Or the wording of Imam carries two possible meanings. One meaning, famous meaning, is what I said. 1 year stand on your feet and pray and fast. On the one span of the scale, another span of the scale, you made reconciliation between this couple, for example, or these brothers, these two partners. You gain more reward here. Another meaning is that your entire life of praying and fasting, on the one side, this is heavier. Allahu Akbar. That is about the importance of reconciliation. And note that Imam mentions this right on the top. Then the Imam says, Unduru dhawi arham, then keep the bond of kinship, as we spoke about it on Friday. It's keeping the bond of kinship in the hereafter will help you to lighten or make your reckoning easier. You go through the reckoning and hisab much easier. The third, Wallah Allah fil aitam. Be mindful of orphans. Don't close your eyes. If there are orphans around, those who've lost especially their bread provider, consider them your children. Then the Prophet says that, the Imam Ali says, I heard the Prophet saying that whoever sponsors a yatim, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has obliged himself to admit him to paradise. Whoever sponsors only one single yatim, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has obliged himself to admit him to paradise. And then the Imam mentions about the Quran. Ballah Allah fil Quran la yasbiqukum ila al-amal bihi ghayrukum. It's embarrassing for a Muslim, for the Shiite of Amirul Mu'mineen, to have age and not know how to read at least the Quran, let alone go to the meaning and the rest of it. Then the Imam says, Subhanallah, do you see that the wasiyat of our Imam, nothing about dunya or wealth or things like that. Imam didn't have any money. Then the Imam says that, Wallah Allah fi jiranikum. Brothers, be mindful of your neighbors. Muslims or non-Muslims, no difference. The recommendation about our Muslims, I always say that those who are living in non-Islamic countries, that they have non-Muslim neighbors, they have a golden opportunity of introducing Islam to neighbors. There is an occasion, serve some niyaz to your neighbors. Take it to your neighbors. They have a right. Imam alayhi salam, while he was alive, he was practicing this himself. Anytime slaughtering a goat, he was insisting take some food, some meat to the neighbors. He would give to the neighbors first before distributing it to the family members. Ya Allah. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Then Imam mentions about the Hajj and obligation of Hajj, and make sure that you don't abandon Hajj. About the Salat, Subhanallah, like a compassionate father is reminding his children. Of course, the children of Imam pray, fast, but that shows, when you read this wasiyah, it gives you an instruction, a direction. For those who don't know, what should I write? Even Imam Ali alayhi salam is advising his children on pray, fasting, Hajj, and zakat. فَإِنَّهَا تُطْفِئُ غَضَبَ رَبِّكُمْ. Be charitable, my children, in your lifetime, because charity will extinguish the anger of the Almighty God. And then, وَاللَّهَ Allah fi Shahr Ramadhan. Fear Allah when it comes to the months of Ramadan. Observe the months of Ramadan and the fasting of the months of Ramadan. You want to have a shield, Imam says, you want to have a shield against the hellfire? Mind you, fasting. Again, coming back to the poor and needy people, وَاللَّهَ اللَّهُ فِي الْفُقَرَاءِ وَالْمَسَاكِينِ فَشَارِكُوهُمْ فِي مَعِيشَتِكُمْ. When it comes to the poor and needy people, part of your income is given to you for them. Quran says in Surah Al-Ma'un, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, أَرَيْتَ الَّذِي يُكَذِّبُ بِالدِّينِ وَذَلِكَ الَّذِي يَدُعُّ الْيَتِيمِ وَلَا يَحُضُّ عَلَى I can hear وَلَا يَحُضُّ عَلَى طَعَامِ الْمِسْكِينِ or إِطْعَامِ الْمِسْكِينِ. It's not إِطْعَام, it's طَعَام. Yes? Do you know the difference? Go back to your Quran translation, and I bet you no one has translated this ayah correctly. وَلَا يَحُضُّ عَلَى طَعَامِ الْمِسْكِينِ. It means woe to those who are not concerned about the food of the wretchedly poor people. Not that not concerned about not feeding them. Quran doesn't say it'am. It'am, it means you are feeding people. You have made some food, you bring it here, and you are feeding people. This is called it'am. Ta'am, it means it's their food. I'm supposed to deliver their food to them. Quran says that the money that you have, that you convert it to food, it is their money. I entrusted you to hand it over to them. Big difference. Do you see the difference? I haven't done any favor to them by giving them their... If somebody, like for example, someone gives me some money and says that, please give this to this brother. If I don't give it to him, I'm a traitor. I've betrayed him. I'm not doing you a favor. That's your money. I'm giving it to you. You see? So Quran says that give their wealth to them. Amir al-Mu'minin here, he says, فَشَارِكُهُمْ فِي مَعِيشَتِكُمْ. Part of your income, my dear, is given to you for the poor people. Don't keep it to yourself. Pass it to them. It's their wealth. Pass it to them. And then Allah fil jihad fi sabilillah bi amwalikum wa anfusikum. And so Imam says that those who don't wish to strive in the way of Allah, whether with their wealth or with their life, if they die like this, they have died with kind of hypocrisy. A true mu'min is the one who is eager to spend in the way of Allah, with wealth or money. When my time is over, Brother Zahir, give me some signal. Wallah Allah fi dhurriyat nabiyyikum, Allahu Akbar. When it comes to the children of the Holy Prophet, to the offspring of the Prophet, be mindful of them. Make sure that no one is oppressing them, no one is treating them unfairly. Maybe with this I will stop, because it connects us to the majlis of tonight, the final majlis. Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam even is telling the community, Allah fi dhurriyat nabiyyakum. Fear Allah with regards to the offspring of your Prophet. We don't have in Islam anyone, absolutely anyone, that the Holy Quran, like قُلْ لَا أَسْأَلُكُمْ عَلَيْهِ أَجْرًا إِلَّا الْمَوَدَّةَ فِي الْقُرْبَى, and numerous riwayat of Ahlul Bayt from the Holy Prophet have repeatedly emphasized on being kind, dutiful, and loving them more than the family of the Holy Prophet. It's amazing. If you were living at the time of the Prophet, you would wonder that why the Prophet is insisting so much on the love of Ahlul Bayt, on being dutiful towards them. Quran is revealed about them as well. but time showed why. Imagine that if the Prophet did not emphasize on loving his offspring. Imagine if Quran was not revealed about the significance of the love of Ahlul Bayt, what they would do really. Allahu Akbar. Like last night, Amirul Mu'mineen Salamullah Alayhi was in his dying bed. After he finished his final will, Bibi Zainab Salamullah Alayha comes and is asking the father, Baba, I heard something from Ayman. Who is Ayman? Ayman, one of the very pious ladies of Islam, that the Holy Prophet used to say that because she had lost her husband, she was a widow. The Holy Prophet says, anyone wishes to marry one of the ladies of paradise, propose to Ayman and marry Ayman. She is the truth teller, a very pious lady, yes? Bibi Zainab goes to Amirul Mu'mineen and says, Baba, I heard something from Ayman. I want to cross-examine with you if it's the true story. Ayman told us that your grandfather, the Holy Prophet, had said something about the tragedies that we are going to go through, calamities we are going through. What is the tragedy of Karbala? And Amirul Mu'mineen Salamullah Alayhi looks at Bibi Zainab. For the Imams of Ahlul Bayt, past, present, future, by the leave of God doesn't exist. So Imam looks at Bibi Zainab and sees Bibi Zainab on the day of Ashura. And Imam says that, yes, my dear daughter, كَأَنِّي بَكَ وَبَنَاتِكَ أَسَارَ أَذِلَّهِ, I can see you taken. Where Imam Ali alayhi salam says, please try to imagine the scene. Kufa is the capital of Muslims. Kufa is the capital of Khalifa Amirul Mu'mineen. This is the capital of his government. Imam is in Kufa saying this. Imam says that soon time will come, less than or almost 2 decades later, that my dear daughter Zainab, you will be brought to the same city of Kufa as a captive of war. Zainab Salamullah Alayha, who used to be the best Quran teacher for the girls and ladies in this town, now is brought as a captive of war. And her children and the children of the Prophet, despite all the prophetic recommendation, are all handcuffed and brought to the city of Kufa, the city of her father, as the captives of war. And then Sayyidah Zainab, she saw that people from the roof of their houses are throwing pieces of bread as charity. Zainab goes to the children and says, don't touch it. Inna sadaqata alayna haram. Charity is forbidden on the offspring of the Prophet. They take them to the court of Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad al-La'in. Imagine the scene. Wallah, sometimes I don't have the heart even to narrate because it's very difficult to visualize it. Many of you are parents, yes? We all can you imagine which brother, you show me a man who is very strong and you attend a court like the court of Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad and you see the head of your father on a pallet in front of you. And we are talking about kids, girls and children. Imagine your young daughter looking at your head. It's definitely traumatizing. Bibi Zainab is narrating, she says, we entered the court of Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad al-La'in, and that Mal'un came, sat on the throne on his chair, and they put a pallet in front of him, removed the pallet. He had his arch for his archery. Qadib in Arabic is called. They removed the lid of the pallet, and I looked at the head of my dear brother Hussein. Ya hilalan lamma istatamma, Ya hilalan lamma istatamma kamalan. She's talking to her brother and she says that my dear brother looks like a full moon that was not complete. Who could ever imagine? Zainab was not imagining this. Yes, my father told us about the tragedy of Karbala, but I could not imagine to that extent to be alive and look at the head of my dear Hussein. And that mal'un began with the arch in his hand, hitting the front teeth of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, saying that innahu la hasanu thagr. Hussein, you had a beautiful and nice teeth. Zayd ibn Arqam, one of the companions of the Prophet, he said, stop it. Stop your hand skin, remove it from the lips of Hussein. By Allah, I saw the Holy Prophet kissing the lips of Hussein. وَسَيَعْلَمُ الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا آلَ مُحَمَّدٍ أَيَّ مُنْقَلَبٍ يَنْقَلِبُونَ. We are ending our day, inshallah, close to sunset. Ya Allah, what better than ending it, alhamdulillah, with the Masab Ahlul Bayt and Majlis Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. Ya Allah, by your grace, make this gathering for us the gathering of paradise, inshallah. So that inshallah we receive the shafa'at of Amirul Mu'mineen, the shafa'at of Bibi Zainab and Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us all and our offspring good ending, inshallah. Ya Allah, as you associated us in dunya to attend the majalis of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, bless us and complete your blessing that inshallah in hereafter we are admitted to paradise and attend the majalis and the houses and the palaces of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. Ya Allah, we are expecting to receive our reward from the holy hands of Amirul Mu'mineen salamullah alayhi. Allahumma kun li waliyik الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا والدليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا. بر محمد وآل محمد صلوات. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. يا الله، يا